Hey everybody, and welcome back to Be Like Christ for Exodus chapter 29, our 5-minute Bible study. There's a lot in this chapter, so let's jump right in. I'm going to try to keep these down to 5 minutes. I know I've been going a couple minutes over lately, but it's a lot to cover in just 5 minutes. When did the events of this chapter take place? Well, the children of Israel got out of slavery in Egypt about 1491 BC, and the events of chapter 29 specifically would have occurred 3 to 4 months after that. We know that from Exodus chapter 19, verse 1. In terms of our main characters, we have God and Moses. They have been having a conversation about the laws and the rules that God wants the Israelites to follow. So we've been talking about them for quite a while. Then we have Aaron. Aaron was Moses' brother, and God selected him to be the first high priest of the Israelites. And then his sons, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. They were going to be priests who served under their father Aaron, the high priest. And our map once again has not changed. We are still encamped around Mount Sinai and will be there for quite a while. The traditional location of Mount Sinai, you can see it there at the bottom of the map on the PDF. There are 46 verses in this chapter. The first 37 are going to be our first section, the consecration and ordination of priests in Israel. So this chapter contains God's instructions to Moses as to how to ordain Aaron and the other priests in their service to the Lord. Moses was told to take a bull, 2 rams, unleavened bread, unleavened cakes, and unleavened wafers, and to bring them to the tabernacle or the tent of meeting. Aaron and his sons were supposed to wash themselves with water before dressing in the special priestly garments that we talked about in chapter 28, the ephod, the breastpiece, and all of those. Aaron was then to be anointed with oil. Aaron and his sons were then to place their hands on the head of a bull before that bull was killed and its blood put on the horns of the altar. Remember, the bronze altar had 4 horns on each of its 4 corners. Some of the bull's fat, the long lobe of the liver, and the kidneys were to be sacrificed on the altar, and the rest of the bull was to be burned outside of the camp of Israel because it was a sin offering. One of the rams was to be sacrificed as a food offering on the altar. The other ram was to be killed and some of its blood placed on Aaron, on his sons, and on their clothing to mark them as holy. And then certain portions of the ram's body were supposed to be put in Aaron's hands and waved before the Lord as a wave offering. After the wave offering was complete, part of the ram, 1 loaf of bread, 1 cake, and 1 wafer were to be burned on the altar as a food offering. So this is quite a complex ceremony we have going here. Next, the breast of the ram was to be waved as a wave offering. And the ram's breast and thighs were then given to the priests to keep. Aaron and his sons were then to take the ram's breast and thigh and boil them and eat them with the remaining unleavened bread at the entrance of the tabernacle. And the priest's ordination was supposed to last for 7 days. So in addition to the sacrifices that are listed above, as if they weren't enough, every day of their ordination, a bull was to be sacrificed as a sin offering, and the altar, the bronze altar, was to be purified. Then our second section, verses 38 through 46, talks about the daily sacrifices that were supposed to be offered by the priests. So the priests were to offer 2 lambs every single day on the altar, 1 in the morning and 1 at twilight. The lambs were to be offered with, quote, a 10th measure of fine flour mingled with 1/4 of a hin of beaten oil and 1/4 of a hin of wine for a drink offering. And the tabernacle would be a place where God would meet with the Israelites, and it was to be consecrated as a holy place. And now for our application. I had kind of a tough time coming up with one for this chapter, and you might be able to tell why. But think about this. Why does the writer of Exodus include so many details regarding the priests, the tabernacle structure, and the rules for making sacrifices? Well, part of the reason is because many of these details foreshadow God's future work through Jesus and the church. The book of Hebrews, which is in the New Testament, is a great book to read to begin understanding the parallels between Jesus' work and the work of the Israelite priests.